Hello, you're listening to E-Bible Fellowship's new Open Forum Excerpts, and now we present the following excerpt.
Welcome to our Open Forum program. Please go ahead with your call.
Hey, Chris. So a friend of mine just got his first Bible, and he is not really familiar with the computer as of yet, but he had a question. He was reading his Bible, and he was looking in Genesis chapter 1, verses 7 and 8, and would like you to read that and to comment on the word firmament.
Okay, Genesis 1. Let me start in verse 6. That also mentions the firmament. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day."
So he wasn't quite understanding, like, is that heaven, or what is the significance of the firmament?
Well, yeah, it is describing a literal creation. There's spiritual meaning throughout, but when it's speaking of the waters and the separation of waters, it's literal, there or a part of the physical creation, that there were waters above and waters below, and a heaven to divide them. And this heaven would have to be the blue sky above, and also the space, where astronauts fly. And later on, about 6,023 years later, when God would bring the flood in Noah's day, well, some people, they think, well, you couldn't rain enough water to cover, the mountains 15 cubits above the highest mountain. And that's true, but water came from the depths beneath, and we read it came from above. So in other words, there was water that was above the heaven, and again, that could have been above the blue sky and out there in space. And I remember Mr. Camping, everything we say about this is a little bit of speculation, because the Bible doesn't really get into the specifics. But I remember Mr. Camping discussing this, describing this as God bringing earth, or God bringing the deep space rain clouds into the path of earth at precisely the time that he had determined, with Noah, yet 120 years to build the ark, and then yet 7 days, and I'll bring the flood. And so the Lord had prearranged this, and there must have been enormous amounts of water above, sort of perhaps as much as a sea, that was on the earth beneath. And then the Lord directed that water, these deep space rain clouds, into the path of earth, and it was unleashed. And so we probably just couldn't even imagine the torrential downpour that would result. And Mr. Camping also used to say that because there are some scientists, and in their reports, they would report that there were signs or evidences of water on different planets. I think they mentioned Mars, that they found what they think would be like residue, or if there used to be water there, they believe they found the evidence of it. And the idea was, well, some of those planets also came into the path of these deep space rain clouds, until we got to the time of the flood. And it could also be, of course, that the water above served as a sort of protection for the earth, and it might help to explain why prior to the flood, man's lifespans were longer. They lived many hundreds of years, like Noah himself.
Right, yeah.
lived 600 years at the time of the flood, 350 years thereafter. But then after the flood, the lifespans noticeably decrease. Maybe a water canopy that protected against harmful rays. We know there are harmful rays out there, and whatever, but that's just speculation. But according to Genesis 1, there was water above the heaven. It's not now spiritually, yeah. God's word is on the earth and likened to water, the gospel, and God's word is in heaven above. But this isn't referring to the spiritual heaven as far as there had to be a literal aspect to it.
Thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. That way you don't miss any upcoming videos.